Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Sylvia and Peter. We have
Hello.
been away for a while and we've got our coffees. I'm not at home in my usual office. I'm actually in Denmark at the moment. So thank you for the Wi-Fi and the internet and hence my different mug.
Mm.
Um, so we have come up with a few new topics, and the one we're going to start off with today is something I've never heard of before, which apparently is not that unusual. Not that I've not heard of it, but the topic is apparently not that unusual out there. So let's see. Would you bring a parent to your job interview?
No.
Bring mum or dad to the job interview. I saw a news item on Danish TV just a couple of days ago where it says that 6% of a survey done, 6% of Danish employers have experienced that applicants, young ones, Gen Z, about 16 to 25-year-olds, have brought a parent to the interview. And I just thought, no, that can't be true. But apparently 6% have experienced that. Now, obviously, that also means that 94% have not
Mhm.
experienced it. So how big an issue is it? But why would you do it in the first place?
Mm.
Um, so that's what I thought we could talk about today. And I don't wonder whether you have any stats on that, Sylvia.
What's interesting is that when we sort of had a sort of quick sort of email exchange the other day, I did have a little bit of a Google. Other search engines are available, I have to say. And there was a very interesting survey by Campus Reform from July 2025. So it's very relevant. And it was a survey from Resume Templates, and they polled 831 parents in full-time employment, and 77% of Gen Zs have brought a parent to a job interview. That's like, wow, really? And then apparently 53% said parents spoke directly to the hiring manager on their behalf. So yes, it does seem to be something where it's a thing. I was shocked, if I'm honest, because first of all, I would never bring my parent to a job interview many years ago. It would never even cross my mind. It was just no, you just didn't. So it's really interesting to have these stats. And another one, what is also interesting, and maybe why, I don't know, that some people are bringing a parent to the job interview. There's another stat from this resume.org, a survey of 756 hiring managers, but again, we don't know the extent of the survey pool. But 56% encountered unprepared Gen Z applicants. So I wonder whether it's around this lack of preparedness and also as to why someone would bring their parent to a job interview when at the end of the day the employment contract is between the employer and the interviewee. It isn't a tripartite agreement between the employer, the parent, and the interviewee. I do find it, for me, perhaps it's because I'm older, very odd, very odd. And my initial response was no, I wouldn't. And if I was a hiring manager, if I'd had an interview booked with someone and they brought their parent, it would be interesting how I would view that if both of them or three of them rocked up into the interview. Particularly if I didn't know they were coming. I suppose that's another area to discuss, how this would happen in the first place.
There's just so much going into this, isn't there?
Yeah.
Because from an employer's perspective, the comment I've heard was generally, no, I would never hire someone who couldn't turn up on their own.
Mm-hmm.
It's lack of independence, it's lack of maturity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at least turn up on your own, make a hash of the interview. That's fine. We all do that from time to time. But you do not bring your parents to the job interview. And then again, is it a criticism of parenting Are we now having a go at parents for being overprotective or taking too keen an interest in what the kids are doing? Or are they trying to make sure that the kids are not being run over by that proverbial steam train in the interview by this awful person called an employer? I don't know.
Mm.
But just the whole concept strikes me as very odd. There comes a time where we have to go out in the world and make our own mistakes and our own successes. And probably starts at the job interviewing stage, doesn't it? Very
Mm.
often.
Mm.
If you want a
And
job, you have to go for it because you can't bring mom or dad to work with you, can you?
no, and that's the other conundrum is, even if you had someone, your parents or your significant other or even a carer with you at your job interview, as I said before, when the employment contract is between the employer and the employee, and that employee then goes to work and then hits a struggle or a challenge or something happens, what are they going to do then?
Mm.
Are they really going to ring their parents or their mum or their dad or whoever it is and ring them and ask them, as opposed to their line manager, their supervisor, and learning, to deal with life, in the job? It does then call into question the effect then on the workforce, on the workplace. As you said, we can still fluff an interview and still get the job. Quite often I've been in situations before now where I've been handing a resume to someone that's been a wild card and they haven't known the business or the product at all, but I've still hired them because my belief was that I can teach the business and the product, but it's the person, their ability, their personality, their ability to all that stuff is what makes me hire them. Now, if someone rocks up with them with their parent in tow, quite frankly, that would put me off. Now, I appreciate there may be a counter argument of someone potentially with a disability or a neurodiversity or something like that. But my counter argument to that would be, surely that would be covered in the interview job application processes. In the forms that you fill in, do you need additional support in the interview? Now, does that run to bring in your parents? Who knows? But then the employer would then know who's coming to the interview and be able to work it out that way. But coming back to what happens in the workplace if this person is employed and they start to struggle, because the employer does not have a direct contractual relationship with the employee's mum or dad.
There's just so many questions.
Mm.
I find when we start talking about it, that what on earth is this all about?
Mm.
Is this something new, or has this been going on forever?
Mm.
It's not something I can remember from when I first started looking for work. It's not something I've ever come across as a person hiring somebody. However young they were, they would not turn up with their parents. Maybe parents would drop them off because the candidate hasn't got a driving license themselves. That's absolutely fine.
Mm.
But actually walking into the room with that child and joining in the interview is a completely alien concept to me, I have to admit.
Mm.
And when we look at the stats, we also have to look at, well, who made those stats? How big is the number of people being asked about this? And is there a bias here or a bias there?
Mm.
This survey from a Danish newspaper found that 6% of employers questioned had experienced that. But what about all the ones that they didn't ask?
Mm.
So again, as I said at the beginning, 94% would have then not have come across this at all. And just because you've come across it doesn't mean that it's all the time.
No.
So I think it's an interesting question. I just wonder, again, from your stats, a fairly small sample, is it representative of what's going on out there?
Mm.
Or is it just the tip of the iceberg?
Yeah, and what's interesting is these stats are based just focused on Gen Z.
Yes.
So is it a generational thing? And as you're talking there, what popped up for me is going for a job interview is not going to uni or college or to school to make sure your child gets into the right uni or college or school. You know, it's a very different scenario. And perhaps there's something about that. You know, this is going for a job interview. You know, you don't then take your parents along to that. You might, parents obviously will go along to getting you into your next school or uni potentially, but not at a job interview. And you wonder, yes, these stats that I've got here are based on Gen Z. Be interesting to see if there's any stats for any other generations, or whether it is a generational thing. And then the question is, then why is it a generational thing? What is going on?
Loads of questions.
Yeah.
Loads of unanswered questions.
Yeah.
And I think there's probably going to be a lot of opinions on this.
Yes.
And as always, you and I would love to hear those opinions. We have scratched the surface on a topic, as we always do. We've had our say, and now it's up to you to throw it back in our faces and see, let us see if you agree, disagree, or have a completely different angle to the whole thing. So thank you very much for watching, and see you in another video. Take care. Bye for now.
Cheerio.